Hi everybody! I wanted to start by showing you how big my marigolds have gotten. Are you ready? It's crazy. Here's my blue pot. Look how big they are. They're almost as big as my face. And then here's my white pot. This one is certainly as big as my face. Look how tall it is. Now, I can measure something by saying what it's like, such as, oh, it's about the size of my face, or, the size of my hand. I can measure whether or not it's as big as my nose, or blocks that I have, or my foot. I can use different things to measure how tall something is, and I really am interested in how tall my marigolds are. But there's other ways to measure too. Not only can you talk about whether or not something's as big as your hand, or as big as a book, or as big as your foot, you can actually use a ruler, right, to measure. And we actually call a whole ruler 1 foot. Isn't that so funny how we call something that's this big, the size of a ruler, a foot? I think that's super silly. Now on the ruler, there's lots of numbers, right? There's numbers at the top, which are a little hard to see, but they say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they go all the way to 12. When something is 12 inches, 12 marks on the ruler, it's a foot. Now on the other side, there's a lot more numbers that go all the way from 1 to 30. Now, I don't usually measure with that side as much. I like to use inches, so I like to go find the side that says 1 and ends with 12. And then I can hold it and I can measure. Here's my marigold, the tallest one. I can put it on the dirt and see that leaf, oof, that leaf is touching the number 7. This marigold is 7 inches tall. Now the one next to it is smaller, and it's only touching the number 3. This one's 3, well, about 3 and a little bit of a half, about 3.5. When I say something's a half, just like when you say you're 4.5 years old or 3.5 years old, that means you're halfway to the next number. So if a marigold is 1, 2, 3, it's not 4 yet, it's 3, but it's a little bit more than 3. It might be 3.5, but not quite 4 yet. One of those marigolds was 3.5, not quite 4. Now let's see this one. I'm looking and it is right next to the 6. That means this marigold is 6 inches tall. My marigold in my white pot was 7 inches tall. And this one is 6. So 6 versus 7. So the tall marigold is 1 more inch taller than the one in the blue pot. I really like to measure things. I like to know how big things are. I like to measure my hand and see how many inches it is. I like to measure my foot and see how many inches it is. I like to measure my doggy. I like to measure my toys because I'm curious how tall it is. Measuring is a lot of fun. You can also see how tall you are when you know how to measure with a ruler. Now, for today's work, I thought we could practice doing some measuring. If you have a ruler at home, great, you can use it. But if you don't, we can make ourselves a ruler. I have this here to help us measure, okay? Now this ruler is in 2 parts because it didn't all fit on 1 page. And you can print it out and you can cut it. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out the 2 parts, both halves of the ruler. And then with a piece of tape, I'm going to put it together. Gotta be careful not to cut off any of the numbers. Remember, if you have a ruler at home, you can use the one at home. I I know some friends have shown me their tape measures. They really like using their tape measures. If you have one, great. But if you don't, we can make one. And then what I wanted to start by practicing how to measure is my fishies. I have some pictures of some fishies that I want to know how long each fishy is. Now, to put this ruler together though, here's what you got to do. Okay? One of them has 0, 1, 2, oh, that's the centimeters. I'm going to flip it. One of them has 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the top, it goes to 15. Those are the centimeters. I don't want those. I want these that have the little half marks in the middle. I want to find that one. It ends with 6. Now on this one, if I hold the numbers the same way, starts with 6 and then goes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to make a whole foot. So to make my ruler, I have to take where the 2 6s are and put them on top of each other and tape them so that it can make one ruler. So if you don't have a ruler at home, you can ask one of your grown-ups to help you make a ruler. That way you can still have fun measuring things. I'm going to take a piece of tape. I'm going to hold it up for you to see as soon as I tape it together. But I can't really tape it together in the air, right? That's kind of tricky. So see, I put the 2 pieces together and a piece of tape right where the numbers were the same. And now I have a ruler that I can use to measure things. It's the same size as this one. It's 12 inches. It's a whole foot. And now I can practice measuring with my fishies. I really like looking at all the creatures that live in the ocean, all the fish. They're so pretty and they have so many colors. And I'm curious how many inches these fish are. So if I look, I'm going to see at the top, it starts with 0. And the top one goes all the way to 30. That's centimeters. I don't usually like to use centimeters, but you can use them if you want. I like to use inches. So the top starts at 0 and goes to 30 for centimeters, but the bottom starts at 0 and goes to 12 for inches, for 12 feet. Now, if it's confusing to have both inches and centimeters on here, you can ask your grown-up to help you take your scissors and cut it right down the middle. Now, I have a ruler with centimeters and inches, and for this work, I might get confused with the centimeters, and I don't really want the centimeters. So I'm actually going to take my ruler. You don't have to do this, only if you want to. And I'm going to cut it right down the middle, just so that it helps me focus better on the inches. There we go. If I want to use the centimeters for something, I can. But I want to focus on my inches here. Here's my inches. 0 to 12. And I'm going to take my fishy and I'm going to measure how big each picture is. So I got to go where the 0 is and see the little line there? I got to put it there. Right at the end of the picture. Right there, line it up. And then look, 0, 1, 2. This fishy is 2 inches. See? 0, 1, 2. It goes from 0 to 2. That fishy's 2 inches. Now I can measure this fishy that looks like Dory from Finding Nemo. The 0 has to touch Dory's tail. The 0 goes at the end by Dory's tail. And then you count. Go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is at the end of the picture where Dory's nose is. Well, fish don't have noses, right? It's where her mouth is. So 0 to 4. She's 4 inches. Now let's look at this one. The 0 goes on this side. See how the 0 is always on the same side? I don't ever put the 0 over here. I always put it at the beginning, on the same side, on the left. And now let's see. 1, 2, 3. That fishy is 3 inches. Now look at this very tiny one all the way at the bottom. I put the 0 on the left and I count 1. It's just 1 inch. 0 to 1. Now look, I have 3 more fishies to measure. This one's super big. Okay, the 0 goes at the end of the picture, all the way on the left. And then I see which numbers all the way on the right. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This fishy is 6 inches. Now let's see this one. 0 goes on the left, and I count all the way to the right. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That picture is 4 inches. And now let's look at this tiny little clownfish at the bottom. I put the 0 on the left, and I count 0, 1. Just 1 little inch, like that. 1. Now if I want to, I can take this ruler and measure everything in my house. I can measure how big my favorite book is. I can measure my hand. I can measure my nose. I can measure my drawing. You can measure what you want. I'm going to count all the numbers on this ruler so that we remember how to count from the 0 all the way to the 12, so we can figure out how many inches something is and whether or not something's a whole foot. If it's a whole foot, it's as big as this ruler. It's 12 inches. Ready? And we start here with 0, right? 0 means nothing. 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, the last number on the ruler. If you measure anything really cool in your house and you want to share how many inches it is, I can't wait to hear, okay? Bye, everybody.